So we're live, or we Memorex? You are live, it says.
It says you are
Hey,
live.
evening, everybody. Jim,
There's our intro. We're done.
Jim decided we didn't need an intro tonight, so
You know,
thanks everybody for being here tonight. And we got just me and James tonight. To's no bandwidth, I guess, was his problem, and I don't know where Ape's at. Is he in jail or what? I forget.
no, he's
I
at.
can't keep track.
Him and the family went on a vacation
Oh,
to
that's right.
Kansas to someplace called Leavenworth, and I think they're there at a KOA or something. I don't know.
Well, I think he's working some stuff off.
Could be
Leavenworth.
Could be. Oh no, there he is on the stream. He's typing.
He's on the stream.
Ape by the SVA by the 1015. You know you want it, son.
Yeah. So, what do you got going on, Jim? I see you got some Diet Dr Pepper going.
It's the way I roll, Chuck.
It's you roll that way. You got anything? I haven't done any videos in a while. I've been trying to get my trailer and everything ready for Quartz Fest, because it was kind of mess. It was kind of a mess.
When is that? Next week? Week after?
I think next week. A week from this Friday, I leave.
It's this month.
So it starts Sunday. Yes, it starts the 21st, I think. So if you guys are anybody going to be down there, Tio and I will be there. Some other people, I think Vern's going to be there, and just come by and say hello. Find us. Last year we flew a flag. That's kind of because it's hard to find your own place, especially if you come back at night out there in the desert. So a lot of guys will have flags with lights on them and all that stuff, you know. And Javi, he I think one time he went out by himself and then couldn't find his way back. So he brought a flag last year, and it made it a little bit easier.
I don't think Tio is there yet, Don, and I don't know about Vern.
No, they're not there yet. I think New Mexico still. I think.
Yeah, I think that's right.
They're working their way there.
Jim, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with drinking. I'm just saying when you can't find your trailer, maybe you should cut back on the brown liquor a little bit. Just saying.
It could be, especially if you're out on your motorcycle.
Or that too, right?
So for me this last week, solar has been a big thing because I'm taking my box trailer. It's
That's
set
cool,
up
Chuck. I didn't want to
12
say nothing about what I was up to either. That's fine. Just go ahead.
I asked you.
No, because then you started talking about
all right,
Quartz Fest.
James, tell us what you're doing.
Nothing. Go ahead. Nothing.
I knew I could outwait you. Graham Ampo, good evening here. Lon.
Well, I know that the Primate and I will have a live stream, which will be really cool in a couple of weeks toward the end of the month. I think you and the Primate are also doing a live stream as well.
We are supposed to, yes.
And two old men will play with their roids on camera. Is that what I'm hearing for that live stream?
I think we're gonna test out our new antenna and toroids.
Okay.
Toroids.
Toroids.
And see how they're working for Ape. I take them and use them, and Ape wants to test them and see how much performance we get out of them.
Chuck, we're in trouble. Mama's fussing at us.
She just got home. She should be tired. Her and the girls went out for one of her friend's birthday parties or birthdays. They did a little wine and they actually got a driver. So I said, don't be drinking wine and driving. And she goes, no, we get a driver.
Is Kathy coming to Hamcation with you next month?
No, she's not. Just me.
Oh boy. Kathy, please come with him so I don't have to be responsible for the Chuck. We'll probably lose him.
I was fine last time. Except that I didn't have a place to stay.
You did. Both times. Did you sleep outside?
Last times. Yeah, I slept under the stars, man.
No, you didn't.
No, I hung with our buddy Dennis.
Yeah, you and Dennis bunked together.
No, separately in the same building.
That's what that means. I mean, like firehouse bunking.
Yeah. So
is
that all you got going? And like the Primate and I will be doing something. I think we're doing it Tuesday or Wednesday. I forget.
I think we're shooting for the 24th for me and him, and we're going to be doing some cable testing, coax
Oh, okay.
testing.
Awesome.
ABR is kind of sponsoring the video, so we'll be doing
Oh,
a test
nice.
with their American-made cable.
The 17th.
And sir, what?
Ape's telling me it's the 17th.
17th, Chuck. So I think that's what we're going to be doing, and there'll be graphs and electronics and displays and no PowerPoints, hopefully. And you know,
I don't know. Is it your show or his? Because if it's his, there'll be PowerPoints.
he should have been in the military. He is quite the PowerPoint ranger when he wants to be.
Yeah, the fire service, that was the big thing. PowerPoint.
Oh yeah,
PowerPoint, everything.
Yep. Not my department, but when I worked with Montgomery Fire when I was doing all my rotations through paramedic school and all that, and them boys in the Montgomery Fire Department loved to have some PowerPoints.
Oh, we had a guy, and he never could finish his class or whatever. It's just one more thing, guys, for like 20 times, you know. His name was Brian. He was my captain for a while, and then
The military, when they discovered, well, it wasn't even PowerPoint back then. It was another application or two. They discovered computer generated slides.
Oh,
and I don't mind them, but man, if somebody's reading PowerPoints in a presentation, they have lost. I'm tuned out, son. I can read. If I was here, I wouldn't be. You know, I need you to read. I wouldn't be in this class.
Right,
Doc
Doc Bradley. Thank you.
Got a new R Finder M6. We'll need to do a review. Oh boy,
nice.
Doc folding some paper with the fancy radio. That's awesome,
expensive.
Dude. And I don't.
Are you doing something?
I don't know. I guess it's an update. I'm trying to find the thing, Chuck. There's just one of me, Chuck. Quit yelling at me. Doc, thank you very much.
Randy would have had this already. So. I like that one. So,
so you want to talk about solar tonight.
We're going to talk about solar and how many. Let's just take a toll. If you've used solar on activation for a POTA or SOTA, one day thing, throw a 1 in the chat, and if you haven't, throw a 2 in the chat, and we'll see who has and who hasn't. Because I have my ideas about it. Because I think for a 1 day activation, unless you are taking a battery. Oh, I got some 1s in there. I got a 0.
I see a lot of 1s. I see some 2s. Yeah. Mike, I don't know what 2 means in this context. Mike takes 2 batteries when he goes.
No, the 2 means he doesn't take one. He didn't take one.
He doesn't. Okay. I thought it was just a 1 if you did.
You weren't.
Well, then Tim is putting 0
2 if you
there,
didn't.
So
I don't know what that means.
Okay.
That one's zero's not an answer, guys. I guess we should have had a power.
Oh, now Tim switched to binary.
Binary. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
See, Vern. Now, Vern.
Hey,
a whole week. That's awesome.
He's already there.
Thank you. Vern, thank you for the super chat.
Thanks, Vern.
We appreciate it.
I believe Vern might have got there yesterday. He was supposed to be the 10th. I don't know if he was on time or not. So my feelings, unless you have if you're running like 100-watt radio and you don't have much of a battery, you might want to take out solar. For me, I usually take a 20 or 30 amp hour with a 100-watt radio, and I don't bother taking solar out. But if I'm going to be gone multiple days, that's a different story, right? I don't know. So I thought we might throw some week isn't yesterday. I don't know what Don's talking about. So unless you're going to be like for this trip, I'm going to be gone for roughly a week, at least 5-6 days, and I'm taking my box trailer. My box trailer has 200 amp hours of lithium batteries in it. I have a couple LED lights inside, which don't draw a whole heck of a lot. They do. And the whole inside of my trailer is white, so it doesn't take much light to light it up. Last year, I thought that I'd checked my charging system to see, and you should be charging the batteries in the truck when you're driving. But I checked it before, and something must not have been hooked up. So I didn't even bother unhooking my trailer last year. I was running off my truck batteries and my batteries in the trailer, which could be
Now,
disaster,
what
guys.
all are you running? What do you have in the trailer?
So I have the two LED lights.
I mean, batteries. What batteries?
I've got two lithiums, 200 amp, two 100 amp hour lithiums,
When you say lithium, you mean LiFePO4?
LiPo4s.
Okay.
And I just threw those in recently because my other batteries were starting. They were about 5 or 6 years old, and they were starting to not hold real well. Now I also have a diesel heater in there, and the diesel heater works really well. I'm sold on those things. I mean, so far I haven't had any problems with mine. And a diesel heater, just so you guys ever buy a diesel heater, one of the things they tell you to, what I've found is the glow plug is what starts it. It's like it heats it up and gets it started, right? But if you don't burn it off ever so often, you can clog that glow plug up, and that's what will stop your diesel heater from working. So I get in the habit of at least every couple times I use it, I run on high. They say to run on high for like 15 minutes. And
So
I'll
is that
usually
a
run on
solar
high.
powered diesel heater?
No, it's diesel power. It's diesel.
I was just trying to
powered.
figure out how diesel heaters got into a solar panel. So
Because it has a fan in it, and that does run on my batteries. That's what I'm getting to.
okay.
So in
Okay. I mean,
the
I
diesel
thought this
heater,
was Clubhouse for a minute, and we're going around the tree.
no. I'm just getting to why in that first startup takes a lot of battery. Okay. But then after that, the fan hardly draws anything. It's not even an amp, I don't think. I might want to try and check it this week if I can. I don't know if I have a way of doing it. I'll take my amp meter. But the thing with it has a thermostat, but all the thermostat does is turn the fan down. It doesn't turn it off. So if it's cold all night, it's going to run. And what it'll do is it'll go down to low, and it'll keep that thing like 65 to 70 on low. And it also has an eco mode, which runs it even lower. And so it runs all night. So that's something that I need to recharge my batteries with. So I do have solar for the trailer.
Now, do you? I mean, I would mount solar panels on the roof of the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how you've got
Yeah.
yours? Or
Don't you
just
remember the big fight I got into
No.
at Dayton with that gal?
No, I tuned out after you quit.
She was
talking
trying
about-
to tell-
No, I
she
wasn't
was
even
trying-
there. I
you
mean, and
weren't
Abe
there?
were like 46
She was trying to
tables
tell me,
away.
you don't want to do that. I'm like, yes, I do, because I don't want to carry them inside. And she goes, you don't want to buy the cheap fold-out ones. Yes, I do. I want to mount them on my roof. And she's tried to talk me out of it. Well, now you have problems with rain and water, blah, blah, blah. I know how to seal
Well, I
it.
mean, my
It's
question
not
is,
that
so
hard
you
to seal.
mount them, you mount them on the roof flat, and then do they tilt up, or do you just keep them flat?
So at it's wintertime right now, so they need to be tilted, right?
Yeah.
So your
okay.
solar panels, you need to make I think if you get the sun on them, it should make a 45 behind it, right? Something like that. And if I had a mount on top, it's a huge difference on your solar panels. I don't know if you guys have ever tested. I've tested solar panels for reviews and stuff like that, and you can go from 50% better by tilting. Say you run about 25%, and you can get it to about 80% if you tilt it right. So
The other day that indicates that there's, God, I hate to give California credit for anything, but there's actually, the farther west you go, more sunshine for a longer period of time or something like that.
yeah, I think they average. I think they say the summertime is like 6 hours, or 6 or 7 or 8 hours of good sun, and then after that, it just kind of not as because I think of the angles.
Because of the
I
angle.
don't totally.
Is that just
yeah.
summertime, or so not in winter?
Wintertime, it's the problem with winter. It's low. So in summertime, like my motorhome has a solar panel, in the summertime, it's up it's up above, going over it, and it works really well flat. So I think my plan is to, when I do install in the trailer, is to be able to tilt them. I didn't get it done this time because we had a lot of rain here recently, and so I'm not going to drill holes in my roof when it's raining. And Don, yes, it is insulated, most of it. The floor is not, but the floor's like 1 inch thick or something like that.
Ah, so they said south, not west.
What's that? The further you
The
go
farther
south,
south
yeah.
you go, the more sun you get. That would make sense because of the angle. Now you're in Northern California, so down in Los Angeles, it should be
Yeah, kind of mid California, a little higher than mid, but
Oakland, right?
um,
Yeah.
so so for me this weekend, I don't totally rely on solar though. I bring it. If it rains, if it's cloudy, like we went to Grand Canyon, and we were in the trees where we camped, and then we were also a lot of clouds. I was having a hard time keeping up, but I didn't have. I think I only had an 80 watt or a 60 watt panel at the time. You want to grab that real quick?
No, I have another comment.
Oh, hi
Go ahead.
guys. Have solar on the roof trailer is also
So David has solar on the roof of his trailer and on the roof of the house, and he just has them mounted flat. I would think you need to wipe them off every so often just to get rain.
It does kind of
dirt
help to
off
clean
of
them once in a while.
And Mr. Vern 6 has dropped us another super chat. Thank you, Vern.
And Vaughn, and he's been there since Monday, so it's a long time. It's going to be long days there for him. The one thing about Quartz Fest, it can get really, really windy out there too. I've had times when I thought I had my Moxon up one time, and I'm thinking about coming out, and it's just going to be in pieces, but it held up. I was surprised. Well, I wasn't really surprised. I was happy that it wasn't in pieces. So I do think I'm going to try and mount mine to where I can tilt them. You can buy brackets and stuff for it. I actually thought about doing. I don't want to climb up there all the time. I'm getting old, man. So I don't want to have to climb up. And my trailer is fairly tall. It's for a box trailer. It's 7 foot tall. So a lot of space to heat up. But that heater does a really good job. If you guys, even the little portable ones. In fact, it's almost too much heater for my trailer, unless it's like below 20, like in the 20s or something like that. So I thought we'd talk about different types of solar panels. So the best solar panels you can buy probably are your glass panels, right? Would you agree, Jim?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I know how electricity works. I mean, I know how solar panels work, but I don't have any preference one way or the other. I actually have some. I don't use them for anything. I got them to play with. I played with them. Okay.
Yeah. It's a cool thing. It actually makes you think about energy that you're using when you have to rely on it, you know? Uh-oh.
Michael, thank you for this super chat.
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, Abe's not here.
So I think with the solar panels, regardless of what type, I think it's more of a mission specific thing. So, for example, I've seen what's that kid's name? Will Prowse. I can't remember the name of his channel, and he seems pretty sharp.
Do it yourself solar, I think.
That sounds legit. I don't remember. And he was showing some solar panels, that some used ones he bought. They were like 3 by 4 feet, and I want to say they were like 300 watt panels, maybe more.
Yeah,
they were big panels, and I thought those things would be so cool because you could put enough of those together to get some serious electricity. But then you look at a situation like yours, where you're in a trailer. What is your trailer? 8 by 10?
It's 8.5 by 16.
Okay. Oh, a little longer than I thought. Okay. But
it's a good sized trailer.
But still, I don't know that you're going to want to mount 3 by 4 foot panels on top. Or
no, actually,
they might have been bigger than that.
Actually,
so what I'm getting at, hang on, I was on a roll. Hold on.
Okay.
But I think it's kind of a mission specific thing. If you're going to be out doing POTUS somewhere where you have enough sun that it matters, you know, I don't know, because then I think that one of those roll up or fold up panels is the way you want to go, as opposed to a glass panel, which, while it may be a better panel, is not going to be nearly as portable, right?
No. Now Will Prowse says not to go over the 100 watt panels for motorhomes, trailers, and stuff like that because of the flexing. He goes, if you get too big, they can flex. If the the frame flexes, you could actually end up breaking them or cracking them. Now, 100 watt panels now are the size. 200 watt panels now are the size of 100 watt panels were 10 or 15 years ago. So you can probably get by with 200 watters. I found one. I've got a 100 watt on my motorhome. and I found a replacement that's actually a 200 watt that's the same size within an inch. So that in his book that, and when he did that, that was been a few years ago that he did that. So
See,
then you,
Vern's all about the mono panels because the wind there at Quartzsite, which is what you were saying, is pretty tight.
well, it's monocrystalline and polycrystalline, I think is the terms for it. And the monos are the better. I always used to think it was the other way, but it's not. And so the glass is probably your best as far as lasting the longest and all that stuff, right? Now, the flat panels, the ones that are really thin and flat, they say those, and I think they've improved those over the years, but they say those won't, if you're going to leave them out all the time, they're not going to last as long because they're not made for it. And heat is also, like everything else, is kind of your enemy too. I've seen guys that use the flat ones because you can actually literally tape them to the top of your roof. And I think I'm going to do that with that 200 water that I got. And but they put them on like a corrugated. You ever seen corrugated plastics? It's like cardboard, and when it's plastic, they'll set it on top of that to get a little air chamber in there to try to keep them, because they do get. I'll tell you what, that I've got that black flat one. That thing gets hot, really hot. It's also a 24 volt, and I have to say, even on a cloudy day, that thing was putting out its voltage. It was kind of amazing. So that's what I'm gonna put on my house batteries this weekend. This next week is the 200 watt. It's 200 watt 24 volt, and I had to you have to make care. I had to actually buy a different controller, which I was going to do anyhow. I bought a Victron that was big enough for that. And if you in the Victron you can add a second one to it, and I added 100, which was the voltage was way too much, and it actually goes back the other way. It'll actually pull back. Now, another thing is some panels. Have you seen the really expensive, like the military grade flat panels? They're supposed to be really, really good. Jason, K4.
Smart Jason or 2.0 Jason?
Yeah. Smart Jason. He just did a review on some foldable panels, and he had some of the real expensive. I can't forget the name of them. They're super expensive, and I don't think for most people they're worth the money because, yeah, they were a little bit more efficient, but for the price of it, you could buy like 60 other ones if you really wanted to, and be way more efficient. So it's all on how much money you got. I mean, the panels. I think they're all improving. So then you have your fold-up panels, and I've done a few reviews on those, and those are pretty good these days. I like the ones that are more solid, like the first ones. In fact, I don't know if you want to share some. We could share some up.
Okay, what you want me to share?
Go to Amazon, look up Dokio. Just look up portable solar panels, and the Dokios. That's a brand. I have their 80 watt. I should have bought the 100 watt ones. Kind of a nice package deal for the money. I don't think there's anything, because they come with everything. The charge controller they come with is fairly quiet. The only noise I found on it was like 80 and maybe 160, which there's not going to be any sun at the time that you use those anyhow, because that's going to be nighttime bands. I see there's 160 for 126, but it's 53% off right now. Wow.
I was going to say that's the ones I have are, I don't know. I bought like a 50 watt one or some small one. It was some kind of sale. I think I don't even remember what brand it is. It might be PowerWorks. And then I have another one, and I cannot remember the brand of that one. And it's 100 watt. And the 100 watt one was more than that by far.
Yeah, and this,
I think it was almost $200 for 100 watt. It was like $2 a watt.
Now that controller will do lithium and lead acid batteries. Does all the batteries. And they sell a 300 watt one too. They sell a 100 watt, 160, and a 300, maybe a 200. I don't think
I
for the
want to
money you can
know.
hardly beat these. And I did test mine, and it was pretty close to output. I mean, none of them put out. If it says 80 watts, they're not going to put out exactly what they say. Usually,
I want to know what these two old people are doing without radios and a solar
they're running.
panel in the woods. I
They've got
mean,
a little love
somebody's going to
shack,
throw out
a
a
little love
hip or
shack out there
something.
someplace.
I
Probably a little love
guess.
shack with some battery power.
I was looking for some specs on these. So here we go. This is.
They have SAE, and I don't like SAE personally, but it
Isn't
works.
that your XT60 connector right there, Chuck?
The XT60 there, yes, but see the SAE up to the right of it, above.
Oh,
That's what they
that
connect
one.
with. You have to be
Okay.
careful with SAEs because you can buy SAEs, and sometimes they'll be, positive on the right, and sometimes they'll be positive on the left. So you have to be really careful. Don't ask me how I know.
So this is interesting. This shows over
Mhm.
here hooking up to these battery stations
Mhm.
without a charge controller
The charge controller is in the
solar generator. Okay.
solar generators, so you don't need it
Solar
for that.
generator.
Mhm.
But you do need a charge controller when you're hooking up to other stuff.
Yeah, and that's a pretty decent one. Like I said, I tested it for low noise. I couldn't find any noise except for I think on 80 meters.
This Dokio one.
And yeah, and I used mine. Mine's an 80 watt. I used that last year to keep my. I take a portable fridge that's battery operated. It's one of those it's basically like an ice chest. It's a compressor type, and when you start looking into running off of battery power and stuff like that, you got to start looking at compressor refrigerators if you have a refrigerator in your rig. If you don't have propane, now a lot of manufacturers are now going to in the big motorhomes. They're going to like residential refrigerators. My buddy's trying to buy one. He's like, I don't want that. He goes, oh, we've got solar. He goes, it ain't gonna run long. He goes, what if it's raining and snowing for a week? So you want to go efficient, and the compressor ones are pretty efficient. I think I ran mine on two 36 amp hour batteries for 5 days, I think, without charging it, and it never died. Lithiums. So those fold up ones are kind of nice because they're portable, they're small. The ones I've tested have been I've done All Powers, the Dokios. I've done another brand. I have a 60 watt one, and it's a small one. It's like a less than 1 foot by 1 foot square. It's probably like 10 by 12, and then about 3 inches thick. And that one actually blew up my it actually blew up one of my controllers that was supposedly good for 60 watts. And like I said, you hardly ever will get a full 60 out of a 60 watt. If you get around 90 to 95%, that's pretty good. So,
Amtol Hart has a
monocrystalline.
question for you. Yeah.
I don't know what
Monocrystalline or amorphous cells for solar panels?
amorphous. I've never heard of those. Maybe Ape knows. He's in the chat there. Maybe I've never. Monocrystallines are, I think, the most popular, and they're the most efficient right now. As far as, but there are those military grade ones, and I don't. Maybe that's what he's talking about.
And Paul does not like SAE plugs either.
I'm with you, Paul. I mean, they're okay, but you have to be super careful with them. Like power poles and FT60s or XT60s, unless somebody sets them up wrong, you can't set them up wrong.
So Jody's making an interesting comment here, and it's a very valid point. Those panels are rated by their output at 1,000 watts per meter squared irradiance, which is pretty rare in practice. 80% is a good rule of thumb. So
Yeah.
what that is you got to have full blown clear sun at the right angle and maximize kind
Thanks, Jody. I mean, I'm no expert. I'm learning about these things. I did buy the book from Will Prowse, which is pretty good written. Yeah, most of the time, if you get 80 or 90%, you're doing good. I think that's what he's saying right there, because of the way they're rated.
So charge controllers, because solar's all sunshine and puppies, but you need sunshine and puppies. See what I did there? But you got to have a charge controller, and without a charge controller, you can't do this, because most of these panels, as far as I understand, all of these panels put out more than 12 volts. They put out like 18 to 36 volts. Depends on the manufacturer and the
12
panel.
volts. 12 volts are like 18 to 21, I think. So yeah, because you want to overpower. You want more going in, but you want it regulated.
Well,
And
yeah,
you can have
that's what I'm saying. But I mean, the
and that's what you're
panels,
saying.
yeah, the panels, you can have 36 volts DC out of the panel directly if you wanted it, but it ain't regulated. So the charge controller for ham use, and there's other kinds, I assume too, steps that 18, 24, 36 volts, whatever's coming out of the panel, down to a nice smooth 13.8, 12 volt nominal DC power.
And it depends on your. It also depends on your. A lot of them a lot of the higher up ones you can set. You can set the actual voltage sometimes.
Output voltage.
Because lithium's a little different than
right.
lead
And
acid.
that was my next comment. And then those things vary in their function by what kind of battery you may be connecting to it if you're trying to recharge a battery as well.
Let's put Jonathan up here. Jonathan's correct. So Jonathan says you want an MPPT. There's PWM and MPPT. MPPT are, they say, around 25 to 30% more efficient because of the it's like little computers in there, and they're more efficient. So if you have 100 watts and you're getting 100, say you're getting your 100 watts, you might only get 75% of that with a PWM, whereas you'll get the full 100. Does that make sense? So
the other thing is that PWMs are a lot more RF noisy. So if you're using this for radio applications,
I've heard the other way around, but I don't know.
PWM is pulse width modulation. It's one step removed from spark gap.
I agree with David there too.
I'm trying to think of what MPPT stands for.
It's
multi-phase,
multi-point
power transfer,
something like that. I don't know if it actually says it on the.
Yeah, the MPPT ones are more quiet. I said more quiet. They're not. I don't think they're completely RF quiet, but they are quieter.
Some are, some aren't. I haven't found a lot of them that were. The ones I've tested have all been fairly quiet on the HF bands. I know some aren't, but you do want to spend your money on your. And for me, I like Victron stuff. They've got a really good reputation. The only thing I would say about Victrons is when you start putting big wires into them, they don't. Where you hook them up, it's not real big compared to some of the other ones out there. Paul likes little foldable panels, and I've got the ones like the Dokyo we showed. I've got some 200s and some 100s.
That is a great charge controller, Don, and that's the one I have.
The only thing I don't like about that one is PWM. It's PWM though.
Are you? No.
I am sure. Yes, it is. That's why I didn't buy one. Yeah.
No.
Yep.
That's what Smart Jason told me to buy.
No, it's a good charge controller and it's quiet, from what I understand. But it's not MPPT. And I don't know if they upgraded that eventually or not, but they may have one that is now. And I'm not saying anything bad about it. That's a pretty cool controller, and it's pretty small for the Power Mini is PWM. Ape says.
Okay.
I don't know, but maybe the Mini 2's not. I think it is. I think they changed something on the 2. It is a cool one though. And personally, for me, and Tio and I went around about this. I run my power stuff off of my batteries. I don't run them through my controllers unless it's something like an LED light or something like that. I run my radio won't even if that Power Mini says it will run 20 amps, it goes to my battery. I think you should pull everything from your battery, especially anything that's high. And there are a lot of those do have like USB chargers and stuff like that for your stuff. That's just me. I was a mechanic for years, and everything with the batteries when we wire stuff. That was before solar panels were popular, though. But you know what I'm talking about? Red Arc, yeah, That's a good
It doesn't
company
say.
also.
So between you two, I guess you know. I don't know. I
If
was
it
under the
doesn't
impression
say,
it was.
it's not
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
guaranteed.
It
If
doesn't
it's
say
if
PWM or
it's
MPPT either way.
it used to someplace. If it doesn't say MPPT, then it's not. That's the way I would look at it.
Hmm.
And
I shudder
Liberty
to, I
says
shudder to
I'm right,
mention it.
so Liberty knows what he's talking about.
Well, whatever.
Excuse me.
What about Renogy?
Renogy's a respectable company, yes.
Aside from the eBay fiasco,
Yeah.
are those? So you like Victron? What's some other charge controllers that people might want to look at? Is what I'm asking. Before we start,
there's
talking
some good stuff out there. Let me just look.
Well, I mean, if you say
Victron,
names, I can pull them up
Renogy,
here.
Victron. A lot of them, if you look, even the Renogy's, if you look at those, you'll find them under other names also.
Oh, really? Rebranded?
Yeah, rebranded stuff. I haven't seen that in Victrons. What was that? What's that one company? Bouge RV supposedly has a pretty good reputation. Bouge.
I would call
I've
that
got one of theirs, but
Bouge.
that one is not an MPPT. I just wanted a real quick cheap. I bought it last year before we went to Course Fest because I needed one, and I wanted a cheap one, but it worked. Oh, Morningstar. That's what was originally in my motorhome. That's supposedly a pretty good brand.
So here is Victrons, and they have quite a lineup.
What I really like about my Victron stuff is, and a lot of them are starting to do this, they have a Bluetooth. Mine has a Bluetooth feature. It will show me what my batteries have, how they've charged for the last 30 days. And it just keeps a rolling thing for 30 days. And I like that. And even though I don't have I can tell if my batteries are fully charged by what it tells me, because it goes into a mode where it just maintains the batteries, and it tells you that. Now, other ones probably do that too. I'm sure some of the other ones will tell you that too. But eventually, I'm going to put a what's it called, Jim? How you test your. Oh, I just lost the name. I just lost what it was. But it's you run it to your everything goes through it on your negative side, a shunt. So the only way you can really tell if where your battery's at is you charge your battery, you hook the shunt up to it, and then everything runs through the negative side. So all your draws and then all your inputs, and it will keep track of where your battery is in a percentage.
So there's other charge controllers. This is the Renogy page.
They have Bluetooth, I think, also.
Yeah, and the snazzier you get with these things, they have Vern, that picture you sent me, can I share that on stream?
I think that's what he sent it to you for.
I would assume so, but just, I'm
I think it's
trying to be professional here, Chuck.
Hurry up, Vern. He needs to know.
Well, I'm still down. I got it downloaded. He said, of course. So let me pull that picture up. So these fancier ones have all sorts of monitoring. Now, did any of the ones you're using, Chuck, have any monitoring or not?
Yeah,
LCD
my
screen on the
Victrons,
front, and that's it.
My Victron will go right to my phone and tell me where my battery's at. But right now, I don't have a shunt to mine yet.
Okay.
But I can tell if it's fully charged by what it did yesterday, or what it is today at the end of the day. I left my lights on for 3 days, and that's a Victron. That's the Victron. That's what you see on your. So he's at 98%.
So Vern says, Vern sent me this picture via text because I have Vern on speed dial.
I think Vern actually has the shunt on his.
And Vern said he's running a 50-inch TV, a 12-volt HE home refrigerator, Starlink, and because it's freezing tonight, he has the tank heaters on. So he's got, what did you say, Vern, about 500 watts, 600 watts total of solar panels, and then you have some amount of batteries that you're using as the non-daylight hours stuff. What charge controller? So that's pretty good that he's running all that stuff at one time.
I don't. He said a home fridge, so maybe the home fridges are better than I'm thinking, but I don't know. I'll find out what he's got when I get there. But and somebody sits on, I forget who it was, says don't skimp on your wire size too. Yeah, if you have to do any long runs, make sure you upgrade your wire. And that was the Victron. I think Vern, you must have the shunt because it's showing percentage.
Aaron, thank you. Maximum power point tracking.
Right, that was it.
And some people who in the chat who are much smarter than us, this is our buddy Chris, said that MPPT uses PWM to load the solar panel to the most efficient voltage. And then Jonathan said they all suck because they put out so much noise.
Now, if you buy that $5 one from China, there's a good chance it's going to be noisy. Just saying.
Yeah.
But it might not be. Yes, he says he does have the shunt. He has a high efficiency. It's a 12-volt fridge. Okay.
Yeah, it said HE. Good. I didn't know what that meant in that context. Okay.
Probably a compressor fridge. That's what the high efficiency ones usually are.
So, let's see.
I'm with Vern on the Victrons. I like their stuff. It's well built. It has a really good rep. If you watch people that know a lot about this stuff, it's usually one of the top picks. Now you can do a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff now for homes and stuff that's totally different. And there's difference in it. Maybe we should get somebody on here. Maybe Will Pross would come on the show. Probably not. But there's differences of running high voltage or high amperage. And I don't know, his book really didn't break that down.
So
I don't know.
Let's see.
That must be milliamp hours.
TJS, thank you for being a member for 10 months. Appreciate it. And the consensus in the chat is generally to run your loads off the battery with the not directly off the charge controller. Now, I would charge stuff like phones and whatnot off the charge controller.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to step it down to 5 volts to charge.
Julian OH8STN says they're noisy, but I've never heard mine. But I'll test it again this week. I'm gonna have radio on this week. So, but there's a lot of noise out there at Quartz Fest at times, so it's hard to say what it is.
Paul's asking on bigger units, is Grow Watt any good?
I've heard of that one. Yeah, I think it is. That's the bigger stuff. And you have 48 volt systems, 12 volt systems, even higher, I think. And I think when you're doing, now Devin says his Victron MPPT is very noisy. I don't know. I've never heard mine, so but mine was in my.
I was under the impression
mine's
that
been
MPPT
in my motorhome.
was the better one, and that PWM was the older style and the less efficient. And maybe it's just less efficient. I'm thinking of, and not necessarily less RF quiet. Yeah. And you made the point, if you buy the $26 power controller off of Amazon from, random company names.
That's all you can afford that works though, right? I mean, you don't have to charge your batteries while you're on the radio either. You can just.
Well, the other thing about any of these is you need to figure out what you need for your, how do I want to say this, for your mission, for what you want to operate, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're using, and somebody mentioned this earlier, if you're using a small CW rig, it was one of the Florida Todds. It was tall Florida Todd. He's using a mountain topper doing CW. He's not using hardly any power at all.
Right.
But if you're trying to run FT8 at 100 watts, like a sane person, you're going to suck up some battery juice, and you need solar to recharge those batteries potentially if you don't have a battery that's big enough to handle that load for any length of time. So it kind of depends on that. But the thing to think about when you're considering this operation is you need to get an idea how much current your setup is gonna use. So if you're doing FT8, for example, let's pick a worst case. You're doing FT8, which is a high duty cycle, and you're using a 12-volt laptop like a Jankopotamus. You need to figure out how much juice you're using over such and such a time, and then plan for that. Now, keep in mind that if you're running, this gets mathy. If you're pulling more power, more watts in an hour than your solar panel is putting into your battery, you are still going to run out of battery. It might take a little longer, but you're still going to run out. So the solar can either supplement your battery or recharge your battery. And if you're using, let's say for argument's sake, if you're using 90 watts of power, that's what you're using with your setup, your Jankopotamus and your FT891 and your FT8 and for Jesus, right? And you're using a total of 90 watts of power, and you're producing 110 on or 130 on your 200 watt solar panel, then at the end of the day, you're going to have net plus, and you're going to be actually charging your battery or keeping it charged. So there's kind of two situations you're going to see yourself in. If you're on the positive side, you're not going to run out of battery because you're putting out more electricity than you're using. But if the solar panel's providing less juice than you're actually using, it will keep you running longer, absolutely, but it's not going to keep you running forever because it's still going to drain the battery. Just slower.
And for Devin there, get like a 240, 43. Wrap your power leads in that thing, and that'll probably take care of a lot of that noise.
Right.
I did that on one of the cheaper ones that I tested that did have noise. And Jim, you're right. If you think you need 100 watts, get 200 watts.
And that's where I was going with it. Yeah.
Because you're never gonna nine times out of 10 you're not gonna have full sun all the time anyhow. You may have clouds going over and stuff like that, and that is where those military ones. That Julian guy likes those things, and for most people they're just way out of the price range. And I don't know why he pushed them. I think he gets them for free. So
now Bill's saying that his Victron is not noisy on HF at all.
I've never heard mine, but I haven't been. Mine's been in my motorhome, so I haven't really used my motorhome a lot with HF recently once I put it in. So I will test it, but I have one in my trailer now, and I will test it this week. And if it makes noise, maybe I'll take a Toroid with me and I'll wrap the thing, because I did test that, and it didn't seem to matter where you wrapped it for some reason. It was kind of weird.
I'm trying to go through questions here and catch up because we got talking in.
So
now,
always
Genasun. Jody said there's a listing for Genasun.
That's the one Julian likes.
Oh, is it the Genasun?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, at the end of the day, you don't have to run the solar panel all the time. You also don't have to be running your radio. Carry two batteries, run the radio off of one and keep the other one on the solar panel and swap them out, kind of deal. And just move the charge controller away. I haven't
heard a lot of noise, except for that one that I did test, and it was on certain bands, and I was testing. I think I had the ELAD hooked up, which is real sensitive to. It hears everything. So, but when I did put the toroids on, I did wrap the leads with the toroid, and I tried both sides. It didn't matter which side I wrapped. It seemed to take it away.
So Vern, that's a good setup. I was thinking it was 500 or 600, almost 700 watts.
Oh, that's nice.
So he's making some juice.
Yeah. Well,
even though he's living like he's king in the desert.
He sounds like he's running a lot of stuff. So you've got to have now that Will Prowse. He basically does a minimum of 400 watts for most motorhomes or trailers. That's where he starts at in his book. That seems to be the lower. I mean, I have never run that much. Actually, this weekend I'll run multiples of probably 400 or better, but only because I'm going to run different things. I'm going to see how long
Cam
it
till it
takes to
hurts.
charge
Thank
things
you
up.
for the super chat. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank
4
you.
months. Let's see.
And we're just, like I said, we're not experts at this. I know a little bit, enough to be dangerous about this stuff, you know? And it's great that the guys, everybody here is helping out in the chat. That's great.
Sun Gold Power. Lon said those are supposedly quiet. I've never heard of them at
Never
all,
heard of
but
that one.
yeah.
That Morningstar one that I have in my motorhome, I know I've ran my radios around that one, and I never remember. I didn't notice any noise from that one either. That was put in when I bought my motorhome. I had them put a solar panel on, and that was the one they put in. I did have it short out though, and start running my batteries down. Unfortunately,
So Liberty's going to be a Quartz Fest.
Yep.
Oh my God, it's going to be a geezer patrol.
He said he's got a second 100 amp hour.
He's prepared.
I'm prepared. I've got that big 200 watt flat panel, and that's a 24 volt. I think I have two 200 foldables and a 100 watt foldable, something like that, in my 80. I take my 80 because I have that extra, gives me an extra setup because the Dokyo has the controller built in, or comes in that kit. And I wouldn't say that's a real great controller. You could probably upgrade that controller and get more out of your panels. But it comes with it, and it'll get you by.
Now, you guys know that I don't go out POTAing because I think sitting in a park is boring. But were I to go out
nature sucks.
Pretty much. It's boring, okay? It's boring. I ain't lost nothing out there. Whatever, leave me alone. Ape doesn't POTA, y'all screw with Ape. So I would think, in my opinion, that if I was going to go out and do a POTA, I would probably carry something like, and I've got one, the Redodo 100 amp hour mini, right? That battery only weighs about 10 or 12 pounds.
Oh, I know.
Something like that. And
that
thing is going to run you, huh?
It's $300 though. $290, $280,
$2 and some change.
Not everybody can afford that.
Were you going to spend that much buying solar panels, Chuck? You're going to spend that much buying a decent charge controller and 200 watts of solar panels, because you ain't going to run all day on a 100 watt solar panel. Not at 70 or 80% at best. 70 or 80 watts. So my point is, in my opinion, plus which it's less crap to carry. I don't have to worry about setting them up. The battery works whether it's overcast or sunny, kind of thing. And I'm not crapping on solar panels. That's not my point. I just was like, it kind of depends on your mission. T.O. says that all the time, and he's right about it. It depends on what you're trying to do. But it's not any cheaper to buy a decent solar panel setup than to grab a 100 amp hour battery and go with God. Is my point.
I tell you what, I do a lot of POTAs and stuff with a 20 amp hour battery.
And you don't even hook up your solar.
And I run 100 watts. But I'm only out for a few hours. I usually get my context.
You're doing sideband too. You're not doing FT8.
I do side. I don't do much FT8. Now I am going to test the Denko this week, because we're going to do some POTAs. I'm going to take my Elecraft, the Denko, and my little 50 watt amplifier.
Very good.
And I'm going to see how that Denko holds up.
Matthew, thank you for becoming a member. We're going to give you this thank you.
Thank you.
Chuck dropped that bass.
Dropped some bass. Baby got bass.
Yeah, I mean, it's just there's several other options, and again, I'm not crapping on solar panels. I think they're great, and the technology's come a huge long way.
Oh yeah, solar panels. Like I said, my solar panel is a 80 or 100 watt on my motorhome. I can buy one to replace it. It's 200 watts now. Same size. Mm-hmm. So instead of drilling holes in that one, I'm going to just change it, and I'll double my power output.
Cooley, you talking about a battery or a solar panel? I bet you're talking about a battery. Yeah, I was thinking it was like 220, not 300. It's like 220, 240. Over Christmas, it was close to 220.
they have come down. So they were like 325 at one time for those.
Well, Chuck, I've got, I don't know, geez, how many batteries I've got. I bought all the batteries I have. Unlike you big time YouTube people who get batteries to test. So I've got a 100 amp hour Chins battery I bought, which is the standard size 100 amp hour car battery size kind of thing.
And that's not heavy either, really.
No, it's like 22 pounds. Pick up a AGM or a lead acid battery that's that size. It's like 70. And I mean, toting that thing is not really a big deal. And it's a good battery. But my point was with batteries, which even if you are using solar, you still want batteries for the reasons you said. And plus, it's not always sunny. But
I think wind power almost is there. Wind and solar. I mean, what are you going to do? You can't beat it. So Matthew wants to know what size battery for a 3-hour activation you get by with, and I've done it. You could do 20 or 30 amp hour. I take a 30 amp hour is what I usually take.
You could probably get
but
by
like
on
but like
16.
Jim's saying, you might even look at a 50 amp hour and see if Power Queen or one of those companies makes a mini. I don't know if they make it in a mini or not.
The point I was making about the LifePo batteries, when I bought my Chins 100 amp hour, which has been a year or two ago, it was $525. When I bought that Redodo 100 amp hour mini 3 or 4 months ago, it was a little over 200, which is about the same price Cooley said he paid for his. So LifePo batteries, the price has gone down. And honestly, there's some decent batteries. I'm not a Bioenno. Bioenno makes batteries. Yay, they're pretty and they're blue. I have a bunch of Miatis. I have a Chins. I have a Redodio.
Buy what you can afford.
Well, they're all almost the same.
Check out this
Ape
one.
has some Dr. Pepper batteries he's had.
Let me go this way with it.
What the hell?
So this little EcoFlow, it's a 20 amp hour EcoFlow. And I've done activations with 100 watts, for a couple hours with that one. And as far as I can tell, I was still getting 100 watts out. Now I've done this with I usually will take this one. I did a POTA with my 857, I think, and no problems at all. It's an eco-worthy. If you look at my review, there's actually a link to it. I think they still make this one. It's kind of a nice little case though, so it's a little nicer than some of the other ones out there. And you could charge this with your. I charge this one with the Bioenno charger.
So Ham Till It Hurts saying he's done a 5-hour POTA on 20 amps with charge left over. So yeah,
on 20 amp hour.
Yeah, on a 20 amp hour battery.
That tell you the truth, that the 991's not super power hungry.
Our noodly lord approves, James Hannibal.
James Hannibal. He don't POTA either. We're gonna me and Dennis are picking him up and he's going POTA with us. You're going with us, James.
When they pry it from your cold dead fingers, right, James?
That's right.
Don't let them boss you around.
We'll pry him off his seat, man.
So the Redodio, or do you say Redodo, mini is $250, normal is $230. Yeah. That's half the price they were 2 years ago.
Yeah, they were over 300.
500, dude. 2 years
Power
ago.
Queen too. The Power Queens too. I got two of the little small Power Queens, 100 amp hours. It's actually I think that's gonna be my power supply for my fridge this week. 100 amp hour.
Hollywood. Get somebody. What is that, like a 27 milliwatt solar panel in your Radio Shack kit? I used to have one of those.
Frank says we can pull James out, me, him, and Dennis. So you do need batteries. I mean, your solar panel's not going to run your stuff. You got to have a battery to go with it. So that's part of the equation, I guess.
Yeah. Vern.
Yeah, Paul says 5 hours on his 100. A 20 amp hour is a good size. Although, I don't know what this one was like $100, and for not much more. You can buy some of those Power Queens and Rodotos
Yep.
and have a little bit bigger battery. I've got a couple Miatis, man. That's what I run my fridge off. 36 amp hours. And those
I've
things
got a
ran it for
Yeti
4 or
battery
5 days.
right here by my desk for testing stuff. So, and I use it all the time. I've got 2 or 3 of them for whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
I got no complaints with them. And the price on them
Yeah.
is great. And I think I've tested one of them. I need to put one on the CBA5 and do a video on it. I know I tested the Denko battery on the CBA5. I think I've only tested the one battery on the Denko on the CBA thing.
And I hope this has been helpful for somebody. At least, I mean, like I said, we don't know everything, but we know a little bit.
But we can make some shit up.
Yeah,
absolutely.
If Ape was here, he could make it up and make it believable. You know how that guy can.
So
talk.
Vern's saying he uses his 891 and 12 amp hours for 4 or 5 hours nonstop POTA, which seems about right.
And so I used to actually tell you the truth. My 9 amp hour, I got a Bioenno 9 amp hour, and I've taken that on POTUS.
Oh, you didn't mean this, James H. James Hannibal, are you going to Orlando, son? Because we'll let you hang out with us.
Maybe, if he POTUS. He can POTA down there. We're having a POTA there.
There's going to be
you're actually going, huh? You said you were.
I got to carry you mopes down there.
That's right.
You could see potentially me and the Simeon at a POTA. Now we'll probably be smoking and drinking cold ones while y'all are playing on the radio out in the park, but you know, we will be at a POTA.
He's not making it. James is not making it.
Oh, Hannibal.
He made it to Dayton last time.
He made it to Dayton. We'll catch you in Dayton, Hannibal. We'll catch you behind the building in Dayton. Mm-hmm.
Oh, so I did have another little project. I did a little project box. This is a loop on the ground setup. Look at that. I even glued it in there with some stuff so it doesn't shake.
Aces, Vern. Aces. Let's see.
Oh, he has a bottle.
Yeah.
What the bottle is. Knowing Vern, it's probably pretty good bottle.
Turn down the screen and LED brightness. Turn off the waterfall. Yeah, that too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's some good advice. I tested the 891 and the 857.
Said zoom in on that, Chuck.
This here. He wanted to show this better.
Now, what is that, Charles?
This is for the loop on the ground. This is the little. I'm reusing a box too. I'll show you the back of it. I had to seal it off, but
okay. So that's the transformer for the log.
This is the transformer, and this box is double the size. We found the right size box. This thing. Oh man. Oh, I can take it. I can open it real quick here.
Show the guts.
This is a small box, but look how small the part is inside. There you go. And I sealed it all up with some hot glue. Apparently,
there was a sale on hot glue. A lot of hot glue.
I tell you what, man, I got a hot glue gun that's cordless, and that thing is the best hot glue gun I've ever used. Oh, thanks, Don. That I was trying to figure out. It was when I hooked it straight to my radio, I couldn't hear anything, so I thought it was low noise. I don't know.
That is a weenie.
So you actually have to.
And you're right.
You actually have to put it outside. Damn, Don.
All right, boys.
We discussed how to make that Toroid. So
I'm gonna wrap this up.
Yeah.
Get on out of here.
Is Kyle got anything going on?
I don't know, but I got stuff to do, Chuck.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Hope this was useful for you. At some point, something should have been somewhat useful. Somebody's comment in the chat, at least.
A lot of good comments in the chat. And Kyle is live. So y'all go catch Kyle.
Tell him we sent you.
0Z and tell them that Coffee and Ham Radio sent you. That's right.
Thanks for coming, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Boys.
Appreciate it.